My name is Alan Marcus. I am a Senior Director here at the World Economic Forum, and I head up essentially the technology agenda. So the World Economic Forum more broadly thinks in terms of bringing together stakeholders around various issues that are important to the world, particularly issues that have economic or social impact. Issues relating to technology, digital technology, like the Internet, is my area of expertise. Hyperconnectivity is quite simple, really. The nature of the word hyper, meaning a lot of, or accelerated of, and connectivity. A whole lot of new issues are happening in the world, and opportunities that go with those issues around increasing connectivity due to digitalization. So the more we connect, the more interconnected we become, the more interdependent we become. And those interdependencies and interconnections create a lot of new challenges that we never thought about before. At a global scale, at a nation-state to nation-state scale or business-to-business scale, you start to see some very new kinds of challenges that some of the mechanisms and processes we have in place in the world don't solve. I'll quote a particular study that's been done from BCG. He used a lot of actual data from the World Economic Forum and other sources. And they were able to conclude that in the G20 countries, what they call the eGDP, or that is the GDP related to the Internet around digitization or hyperconnectivity, is around 4.2 trillion US dollars. Now, when you look at that number in the G20 and compare that to what oil and gas generates, it's roughly 3.5 times bigger, which is a fundamental change in the structure of how we look at GDP. We're starting to see growth rates in developed markets in the 8% range, GDP growth of Internet and hyperconnected related activity. In the developing world, we're seeing GDP growth in the hyperconnected space at 18%. Many people will attribute the notion of digitization and increase in connectivity to the massive movement of disadvantaged groups, the poor, across the world over the last 10 years prior to the Great Recession. Well, one of the biggest challenges is the fact that the technology grows so rapidly and creates a whole new set of rules. For a business, predictability is a big deal. And taking advantage of this rapid growth in unpredictable markets creates a big challenge. And so when you see a disharmonization of rules for how technology, or more importantly the information it creates, can be used, businesses are at a disadvantage. Companies might spend millions of dollars just on identifying what the different rules are for different markets and having to create all the various customizations to make that happen. Where the real efficiency when we get into IT type technologies, digitization, and hyperconnected applications comes from the scale of having something that's far more unified in terms of its approach. These are big challenges, certainly for business in that perspective. So one of the things hyperconnectivity does, one is it opens up, but in a way maybe they were hoping didn't happen. It also gives an opportunity to truly be authentic, to really work with communities, to help define social impact and shape shifting norms and values in a way that you might not do just by product. If I think back to the history of the beginning of what we call the enterprise, we could argue 500 years ago the notion of a company maybe started coming to bear. What was its main purpose? Its main purpose was to provide a betterment, if you will, right? New goods and services that made the lives of the people they served better. But the real notion of betterment is not just, hey, this made my life easier. This makes my life actually better, right? Better in terms of the food I eat, better in terms of the climate I live in, better in terms of the safety of my neighborhoods, in terms of health and education. And so how can we be more authentic and be a bigger part of that social fabric? Because that's going to create the strength in brand and purpose in addition to the products that you sell. So I think it's a great way to to leverage, to interrelate with people in ways that just didn't exist before. And we're starting to see businesses very successfully do this. I think it's a fantastic opportunity for them.